Welcome to Tusks Tales, a place where every hunt becomes a story worth telling. From the first track on the ground to the last echo of a hound's voice, every moment holds meaning. Together, we'll explore the hunts that formed us, the dogs that inspire us, and the stories that keep our community strong. These are the tales that keep the fire burning.
Okay.
Hello, y'all. Welcome to Tusks Tales podcast. This week, I'm honored to have a gentleman come and talk with me. Just a little bit for everybody out there. You know, if I'm asking you this early on with this podcast to come and talk to me or, you know, be on this podcast with me, it's out of respect and take it as a compliment because I've done my research on you. I know you're a reputable hog hunter. I'm not just reaching out to anybody. So the people that have sent me individuals you would like me to do podcasts with, don't take it as I'm trying to disrespect you. That's not what I'm doing. I'm just going with the research I've done and the reputable individuals I know. I've had the pleasure of meeting this guy at a hog tournament that a buddy of mine and I, my wife, and us hunted a well-ran tournament. And I met him, talked with him a little bit, and, you know, I was still pretty fresh in the hog hunting community. Like I said, I probably hit about a little less than a year at that time of me hog hunting when I met him. And they were great people, ran a very, very well tournament. You know, there was no hidden bullshit in the background. You know, there was a team that ended up showing up late. They stuck to their guns and said, no, we set a specific time. It is what it is. And he wasn't the main runner. He just kind of the main runner of the tournament. He was helping out, and they did a great job. It was the Hook and D tournament this year. Just great people. A very, very great guy to talk to. The whole time he held conversation. He was the main one I really kind of sat there and talked to because I ran around like a freaking chicken with my head cut off, stressed out the whole damn time. But yeah, with that being said, y'all, I a couple things I do got to mention, you know, with the podcast wise, before I get into letting him talk about himself. We don't get paid for this, guys. That's not what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to promote unity, get this word out there to other. We're being listened to in 3 countries, actually 4. There's a place in China that's now listening to us, and it's like Gongqing, China or something. I don't know how to pronounce it, but I'm going to look it up. So we have listeners in 4 areas outside of the United States now, which is phenomenal. But I'm noticing, you know, y'all follow us, you know, 97% on my analytics, 97% of the people listening to this podcast are not even followers of it. So if y'all would, you know, keep us motivated, keep us going, give us a like, a follow, whatever, you know, some reviews. I don't care if it's positive or negative. Let us know how we're doing. This will keep this podcast going. Y'all, throughout the weekend, I was hunting, and I'm assuming a lot of people were this past weekend. I seen the guy I got on here. I'm going to let him introduce himself, but he did a lot of hunting as well. We hunted all weekend long, and it was a great weekend, a good weekend for it. And I seen we had a lot of listeners. I had people messaging me saying they were listening to us in the woods. They were very thankful of what we're doing. They're loving it. Everybody is loving how this podcast is going. We started getting a few of our negative feedback in there, you know. Just clearly it's going to come, and mainly it's people that are, hey, don't be hurting hogs and stuff like that. I'm not going to get into detail, but we do have our negative feedback. But guys, we are booming. I'm just absolutely amazed by it. So I'm going to go ahead and get this next podcast started. Mr. Kenneth, do you mind introducing yourself, telling them where you're from, what dogs you run, you know, kind of the areas you've hunted, a little bit like that, if you don't mind.
Yes, sir. Some may know I'm Kenneth Smith from Louisiana. Grew up in a little small town called Olive. It's pretty much central Louisiana. It's where we grew up hunting, where we started. Mainly it was me and my brother. My dad kind of, you know, got us into these dogs, and we were born into dogs. We were never part of a time of our life we didn't have dogs, whether it be a dang roadside mud or, you know, something intentionally bred. We've always, my dad, he always had bulldogs, so we always, long story short, we always had some kind of dog growing up, and really wouldn't know what to do with that one. But anyhow, I mainly run cur dogs, and I've got a couple that's crossbred here and there, a little bit of hound, not much at all. Mainly, most people would still call them curs, eighth, quarter, stuff like that. Like I said, we mainly hunt around central Louisiana. Ended up kind of, after a handful of years, 5-6 years of hunting, kind of, started spreading out, meeting buddies and meeting new friends through the dogs. And I don't know, I want to say around 2020, 2019. I think we ended up going to I went up to Arkansas for the first time, and met a buddy over Facebook named Jay Brooks. He's up there in Arkadelphia, Arkansas, and invited us hunting. We went up there and hunted, had a dang good time. I think we ended up catching 12, 13, 14 hogs in about 10, 11 hours.
That's impressive.
And, right. And anyhow, me and him, we became really good friends. Really good guy. He had some super nice dogs. Then throughout that, I ended up meeting people like Dawson out of Texas. Some of them Moro boys up there around Mississippi, central, north Mississippi. I actually went hunting with them. So I've been to Mississippi, Arkansas, a handful of times. Actually a bunch. Excuse me. I've been to Texas a few times, not a whole lot. Had a good time over there. Caught some hogs. We ended up meeting a bunch of people through these dogs,
Man, see, and that's awesome, and that's a big thing I'm trying to promote is unity, man. If y'all get the opportunity to meet people like Mr. Kenneth and Dawson and his brother, not Dawson's brother, but Mr. Kenneth's brother, I'm trying to get him on here. If you're listening to this, bro, I messaged you. Come on. I just sent him a message, so hopefully he comes on. But
yeah, I don't see why I wouldn't.
These are good people, man. These are the people you want to meet in the woods. These are the people you want to share stories with, you want to bullshit with. We have each other on Snapchat and stuff, and I see his snaps with his dogs doing. I'm sure he sees mine. It's a nice little community to be able to. They're not out there being, rude about it, pushing people away, trying to say, "Oh, my dogs are better than yours." There's none of that in this community. Now, he mentioned, you mentioned, you got cur dogs and you have a little bit of hound in them. Do you mind telling the listeners, what eventually made you cross it up, why you ended up having to cross up? I noticed a lot of questions people ask is, why don't they just keep breeding their own stock? Can you please inform them kind of why you had to do that and what you crossed up with, if you don't mind?
Yes, sir. Well, we originally started out with some yellow dogs. Me and my brother had, he was kind of into some tree dogs, around junior high and high school. And he wanted to fool around with some coon hunting and a little bit of squirrel hunting. And my dad helped us out, like I said, being a little bit younger then, and just typically, a younger guy would just jump into, see a dog that they like, or, oh, that's a good looking dog, or he's for sale on Facebook. It says he's a finished tree dog, and, average teenager's going to jump on it, especially if it's cheaper and he can afford it.
Yeah.
So, just saying all that to say this, with the knowledge my dad had with these dogs, he made sure we didn't get a hold of just anything. And we got a hold of some yellow dogs out of North Louisiana, between South Lumberton, Mississippi, and all the way down to, I guess, about Ruston, Louisiana. We ended up getting 2 dogs, a male and a female, and we started fooling with them. And the male dog, they were both nice dogs, but the male, he was a freak. I mean, he was a soldier. He was tough. He was a little on the rougher side, but we actually started out squirrel hunting them. Coon hunting them a little bit, and he'd done okay. He'd tree coons, but I could kind of tell it's like he just didn't really care for it, And we actually had a buddy had some hogs on the trailer one day, and he ended up accidentally letting one of them out. And he was, hey, man, I don't know. I got to find that hog. I can't let it get yada yada. And my brother said, hell, I got a dog at the house that Mike could put on it. Make a long story short, we went back and got the dog, and brought it back out there and turned the circle loose around the trailer where the hog had got out. And he ended up taking the track. And we didn't have, I don't know why we didn't. I'd be lying to you if I told you why we didn't have a dang tracking collar on the dog. But for some reason we did. And he left. And, I mean, I don't think he, to my knowledge, you know, as far as I knew it, know at the time, he's never seen a hog.
Yeah.
So, I guess all he knows was just to take the track, you know, the track we put him on. So anyhow, he leaves. And after a while, I mean, I'm guessing we expect him to go right here 100 yards and bait the hog. Well, that didn't happen. And I don't know, probably around about 2 hours go by, we're riding around looking, listening, trying to find the dog, hollering. And we pull up an old grew-up haul road, come to a dead end, and really was just trying to get out and trying to find the easiest way in there to walk around, get to him. And my brother said, I think I hear him. And we sat there and listened, and we heard a dog barking, and he ended up having a dog, hog bait. It done got dark. I think all we had was 1 or 2 phone lights. And, and from then on, he liked hogs way more than coons. And believe it or not, after starting them on coons, we had them trash one time on coons. We turned them loose in the cutover one evening, and wasn't much sign. And you know, I guess it was a little more coon activity than hogs. And he left out. A couple other dogs had to come back. He left out and stayed out and went to barking. And he sounded as good as you'd want. Well, my buddy asked if he could send a puppy in there, and I said, yeah, go ahead. He sends a puppy in there. I was telling there, he shows treat for a second, and that dog comes back. He said, I don't know why he come back. I said, I don't know either. And come to find out, we walked way across about 20 yards across the cutover, and that joker, there was one little old faint oak tree, little small oak tree out right in the middle of it. And that dang dog had the biggest bull coon tree in that cutover, and or actually a clear cut, but that's the only time, you know, that I remember he fooled with a coon. But he loved hogs. Like I said, he was a little on the rougher side and got cut up. But anyhow, we fooled with them dogs. Got a couple puppies off of them. They come out on the trashy side, which, you know, showed me that they wanted to go and wanted to hunt.
Oh yeah.
I'm fine with being trashy. I can. You can clean up a dog. You know, you can clean up the dog and try to correct it. You can't put driving a dog if it ain't there. I mean, I don't care what nobody says. A dog that just don't want to do nothing, he's not going to do nothing. But we fooled with them dogs and bred them, and they got kind of too tight. Started having some, you know, and look, some of them come out. I guess you'd call it loop deform between the hips and the feet. And
yeah.
Fooled with them, and they kind of, between dying out and just, you know, kind of having to not been able to breed them much no more, we kind of ended up losing that line. And I was actually got some older fellas around, right down the road from me. So obviously they'd be Central Louisiana too. So I was actually gifted 2 puppies from a guy that thought enough of me to give them to me. And they're around the Grayson, Columbia area, you know, of Louisiana, and had their own foundation for some years, been breeding them dogs, had some super nice dogs. Had one that really stood out that they bred to. And I actually got a grandson and nephew to them, and raised them up. And one of them made the best dog I've, you know, to this day that I fed. And we bred them dogs, and kind of the same thing with them. I started getting some tight dogs, half brother, sister breedings, daddy daughters, and I ended up having to make an outcross. So, and the hound, it wasn't just a necessity. I wasn't against it, you know, but the dog that I liked that ended up going back to some other dogs, and you know, a long ways down the line, the old dogs I had, he just so happened to have about a quarter plot in him. And so anyhow, make a long story short, he was the male that I picked to breed back to the old jip I had, and that's what started the, you know, quarter plot, eighth plot. That's kind of what I've got now. I've got a young jip, which actually comes from Michael Speiler from Hardcore Hog Dogs.
Yeah. Hey, for everybody, sorry, Mr. Kenneth. Michael Speiler, giving him a shout out on my end. I'm sure Mr. Kenneth's going to agree. Great guy.
Yes,
he'll take care of you, man. Custom orders in a timely manner. I sent him what I needed before a tournament. Had some other problems go on. That man had me hooked up. He said, it'll be there by this day. It was there by that day. Now, don't expect that to happen every single time. I'm sure the gentleman's very busy. But y'all, Mr. Kenneth, I don't know if you mind piggybacking a little bit on Mr. Michael Spieler for a second and then getting back to that, or?
Yes, sir. No, he's good people. He's become one of my best friends. We probably talk 2 or 3 times a week. It's done got to where if I don't hear from him, I kind of get worried.
Yeah.
And man, he makes some great, he makes some great gear. He helps you out if like as you just said, if you need something in a timely manner, he does his best to get it to you. If something ain't right, and if you end up with something ain't right, it's probably going to be your fault for not letting him know. I mean, he's good about taking his equipment back and sending you what you asked for. I'm actually running a couple of his vests right now, some bay vests on my bulldogs. With it being pretty hot, and the bulldog I'm using, he's kind of fat, not a shape, so he's already got a disadvantage against them. But I'm actually running his vest on my bulldogs right now, just a regular old bay vest, and hadn't got it. Knock on wood, hadn't got it poked through or cut through yet.
You are not wrong at all, man. We same situation, a little bit hardcore again. That's what we're running now. Every single one of the dogs either has a hardcore cut collar on, a bay vest, which is the SS super suit, I believe, which is the cooler condition bay vest. I've had a dog had punctured lungs or punctured chest cavity on both sides twice now. So that's what he wears now. And of course my catch vest is the T-Rex. Is that correct? Or am I?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So they got multiple options on anything, and Mr. Michael will. He's very informative, man. We sat there and talked with, oh my goodness, my wife and I forever. He showed me kind of the vapor layer, the layers that he's putting into these. They're true layers, and he explains it to me. And trust me, I test my vest certain ways. And if you know how to do it, you can use a rebar. And that's like the more accurate way to do it. Now, I'm going to say from experience and actually putting it to the test, that hardcore hog dog, man, ain't no joke. He gets them taken care of. The only thing I got to say, I always got to kind of piggyback on it. I'm hoping he comes out with more color options and more customizable. Like, he'll customize anything to a fitting. And I don't want anybody to take this negative. But I want more color options and designs available, if that makes sense. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah, and there's nothing negative about the gear. That's all just the look of it. And I'm sure he'll make it happen.
Yeah, he's pretty good about getting what the people want and they like. If he thinks he can get rid of it, it sells, and the people like it. He'll make it happen.
Yeah. All right. Well, sorry, I wanted to jump in there and let everybody know that, man. I'm sorry. I gotta cover that. Sorry about that.
Yeah. No, you're good. But no, back on the dogs. We like I said, I actually got a dog for him that he trusted me to let me get a puppy and raise it. And I think his are mostly cur as well. I want to say she had about an 8th walker in there. Really, really nice dog, hard hunting dog. Hunted more on the faster side, but she didn't lack the ability to go. She had the drive, she'd go. But anyhow, that's kind of where the hound situation ended up. And I have seen some nice hounds, full hounds, half, quarters, or whatever. I'm more or less a cur dog man. That's just what I've always fooled with and what I've always liked. But, I mean, I'm not knocking the hound at all. And like I said, I do have some dogs that's got some hound. And I skipped over one, a puppy from a buddy of mine, Garrett Ray, out of around Roberlin. He's sitting there, puppy, and I want to say she's around 3/8 plot, and she's a nice little dog. She does her job. She'll go step for step with one of the best.
Man, that's awesome. I mean, I want to hear from the cur sides as well. I mean, clearly everybody that's listening to me, they know I'm a plot guy, but I do have cross. Like, my best dog is half and half. But I mean, I have cur dogs out there. I got plot hounds. Unfortunately, I have one Catahoula and she ain't going off this yard, but my wife's, this is how bad she is right now. My wife said, no, she's not going hunting this weekend. She don't want to do shit. She can stay here. So I mean, that was her words, and that's if anybody asks me what my best dog is, I say her. But she ain't leaving my feet, and I mean, if she don't rig it, she ain't going nowhere. But she's my favorite. She really is. So I mean, I got a little mixture too. You know, I have my full plots, of course, and I mean, my full plots are producing for me. So and they do a really he does a great job. Now my I got a bloodhound out there and stuff. So I mean, you can have a mixture of stuff on your yards. You know, when we talk to these people, I like to ask them, you know, what they're mainly running, and a cur dog is Mr. Kenneth's go-to. And when he says he's having to outcross guys, it means he's getting tight in the line breeding. It'll start coming out, you know, not the most intelligent. So you kind of got to go out to something else. It doesn't necessarily have to be a hound, but I'm assuming that was your decision on that, or...
Yes, sir. Like I said, the male that I picked, he just so happened to have some in him, and I mean, I wasn't against it, you know, adding hound to it. I mean, if you have your ducks in a row and you know what you're doing, I think adding hound can actually help in a lot of ways. I mean, nowadays it's and I'll admit it's super hard to find a cur dog that'll even freaking hunt, and much less have a, you know, halfway decent nose. So, I mean, to get one to do both is about like finding a needle in a haystack. And I was actually, like I said, my best my best dog was full cur.
Yeah. And
he, you know, I was blessed enough to have him have the ability to do both. He had the best nose I had on the yard was him. And I mean, man, he was just a nice all around dog, super good handle. Like I said, in my opinion, a really good nose for a cur dog. A lot of bottom, a lot of hunt. And most importantly to me is a whole bunch of brains. I mean, he was smart.
Yeah. I mean, with that being said, you know, my buddy did. As a matter of fact, him and I was talking today. Man, he's got some jam up cur dogs, like some good casting, free casting, no sign, go catch a hog type cur dogs. But he admitted it to me today on the phone. He said it. He's like, man, he's like. He was explaining to another buddy of his while they were hunting. He's like, man, you can't just, and I'm going to offend people by saying this. I don't really care. This is coming from him. I didn't say this. He said, he told his buddy, you just can't make a cur dog. You can't really get a cur dog to hunt. You got to make them. And I was like, well, what do you mean by that? Because a lot of people say, you know, you can't put drive into them. And he's like, no. What I mean is it's very rare to get a cur dog to really go cast out and go hunt for 800 yards to a mile and keep interest. And he got to telling me a story about, you know, he sent him out on a bay, and it was like well over a mile away. One of his buddies had a plot that was bayed up, and he went ahead and sent him out to try to help you know, it was already bayed, but he just, I guess, sent his dogs out. He said he got about 700 yards, stopped at a bank, and bayed up another hog. He didn't really show interest in wanting to, and this is when he was younger, but now he hunted him enough and kept him on that free cast and stuff. Eventually, I wouldn't really say that's necessarily giving them drive. It's making them open their, I guess, open up in the terrain they're in and just get going and get ahead. I don't want to sound like I'm saying that wrong, but I mean, he admitted to it that pretty much they don't have the want to go and hunt long distances. They're more of a short range dog. And, but he said then the downfall to the hounds is he knows a guy that his hound's going to cut straight out and hit 3 miles before it even starts hunting. And that's a downfall. That's a huge downfall as well.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't have the properties to hunt a dog like that, I mean, it can get you in a bind, or you'll do more harm than good for the dog, you know, having to keep cutting them off or stopping them, or even if it gets to the point to where you got to, you know, correct them with a stimulation or with a collar, toning them, you know.
Yeah.
You make that habitual with a dog, make a habit out of it, and next thing you know, it's going to be to the point to where he thinks that's as far as he's supposed to go, or he's not supposed to hunt long, or for instance, if he's hunting, you're just driving around to another dog and he uses your four, he comes out. You know, he's so used to you cutting him off or getting him, you know.
Yeah,
I mean, you got to know what you're doing.
Yeah, you covered that, you know, great. Like this weekend, man, I had a huge situation happen to me. It was my wife's baby shower this weekend, so I was I went hunting by myself. Like, I had the itch. I had to go hunting, and I went again by myself, and I ended up getting on, well, actually, there was people that ended up being there, but I got on a hog, I just dropped one dog, and he swam the river twice. I get up to him, long story short, this is kind of what we were just talking about. He takes out, he's over a mile and like 1.72 or something is what he was from me. But I mean, that was because I had to drive the boat around and stuff to get closer. Well, by the time I got to where he was bait at, where I could actually walk, it was 0.8 from me, so almost a mile from me. And, well, I get a phone call, and it's from the landowner, and he's like, hey, from the landowner, I thought the dog was on the property. And he said, hey, you got a dog over here? And I said, yes, sir, I'm sorry, I'm trying to get there. If he's messing with the cows, just let me know. He said, no, he's on so-and-so's property. I said, what? He said, yeah, can he shoot him? And I said, no, don't let him shoot my dog. He said, no, shoot the hog. And I'm like, no, if he's going to shoot him, he better not miss, because I'm going to be honest with you, I can't shoot over my dogs. They're going to be gone. And I said, please don't. He said, well, the problem I'm having right now is the cows are trying to the cows are like interested in your dog, coming in on your dog, and your dog's baying the hog, and it's like you can tell your dog's like trying to watch its back on the cows. And I'm like, I'll be there in a minute, whatever. So there was cows all over this area, and it's wooded down here, by the way. This is a wooded area. It's not an open pasture or nothing. And I get over there, I get them off and get the hog tied up. What I do with my hogs, and get them back out. And my Jip, his sister, I ended up dropping her, and she found a shoat on the way, so she would not leave that. So I get back over to her. I get her off the shoat while I wasn't paying attention to him. So I get all the way back, and I check my Garmin. He's stuck back up on that shoat now. That's dead. He's probably eating on it, And I'm like, goodness, that's when I wish I had a better handle on my dog, but he's just now 2 years old. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I was frustrated. But, I mean, it is what it is. That was what I was kind of talking about, about the hound and the cur and stuff, Maybe you ain't ever going to have to worry about that with some cur dogs running out over a mile doing some shit like that. But how many hogs did did that hog run through that my dog decided to, stay on that one and not really break off? At that point, I kind of wish he would have just broke off. It's bad to say that. People are going to like, man, no. What you did is right. No, I kind of wish he would have, because it put me in a huge bind.
Yep, it happens.
But yeah, man, I'm sorry, I had to tell that one, But let's get into you got anything else you want to say on that part real quick?
No, that's pretty much about it.
Okay, so let's get into a few questions to help some newcomers out. You got someone coming straight into this, man. I've talked to you about this a little bit before. They have absolute zero experience. They have nobody to rely on. They have nobody to call and get some advice from. Nothing. They just want to get some dogs. They want to hear some dogs run in the woods. Where would you recommend them starting?
Oh, I guess most importantly, I'd say, I mean, you got to have a place to hunt. Make sure you have not a place to hunt one time or here and there. Or I got a buddy with a lease. You don't count your chicken before they hatch. You don't go grab some dogs and then go. Just assume you can find a place to hunt. Make sure you have a spot to go hunt. Especially if it has some hogs or you put a dog on. And one thing I'd definitely point out pretty important is patience and consistent with the dogs is, see what you got to work with. Once you do find some dogs, or let's say you find some or whatever you're working, or have, see what you have to work with. Make sure you're looking at your dog's possible potential and its well-being before looking for success, out of a hunt. And I guess I skipped over this, but as far as looking for some dogs, I'd probably say, I've heard you say it before on your little Facebook live you was doing, Man, I will agree with you. It's hard to get in, especially some old timers. It's going to be real hard to get in with them. Just especially if they don't know you, have no idea who you are. More than likely that, out of being nice and generous, that they may let you in and take you hunting here and there. But it's going to be hard to get in with them. I will admit that. And it's going to be really hard to just up and get one or two dogs from them out of some dogs they've been fooling with and put their time, blood, sweat, and tears into, and got rid of it all what they feel like is the bad habits and got them pretty good lined out. But anyhow, I'd say do some research. Something what you've done was I feel was pretty good. Do some research, try to find some some breeders that's breeding dogs, working dogs. And one thing I would make sure I try to point out, or and see is if whether these breeders themselves are they using their dogs, are they hunting? If they're hunting using their own dogs, to me that's a plus. It'd be a little odd if somebody was breeding dogs and not using them, or using somebody else's dogs but breeding some dogs and selling them. And a lot of them dogs, they may be papered as you've mentioned before. That way you see what you're getting. But two most important things, like I said, I would say make sure you definitely have a place to hunt to even make a dog if you're starting from scratch. You don't want to get into it and then go looking for a place to hunt. That's, in my opinion, that's how you get burned out, and then it just kind of builds a bad name for the game. It's not what everybody makes it out to be, or it's not that fun, or it's not worth it. It's to some it ain't. To a lot it is. I mean, it's just it all depends on how bad you want it, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean you hit a couple spots in there, that we really got to cover for these new guys, and I'm glad you said it. Mr. Kenneth has heard me on my lives before talk about. I believe it's impossible to get with the old timer and go hunt with them. If anybody, and I do not want to hear from y'all saying, "Oh, well, I was able to," and yeah, of course you were, because your daddy was buddies with them and blah 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 blah. No, I'm talking about somebody coming fresh into it. It is impossible. I do a lot of stuff for our public, like with youth and stuff, taking them on free hunts, stuff like that. The outfitters won't do, these old timers won't do. But I'm different. I didn't have that growing up, so I want to help these kids as well growing up. Now, with that being said, you're not going to find some old timer that's just going to take you hunting for free, or even majority of the time even paid. And if you're paying for some of these hunts, I really haven't looked into any guided hunts, so I don't know anybody to recommend y'all to go on one for the first time. I did want to cover that with Mr. Kenneth as well. If he knows anybody reputable to kind of go on a guided hunt with, I'll let him speak for it. But on a guided hog hunt with dogs, I personally do not know anybody to recommend, and I probably have friends that do it. I just don't know it. I'm sorry to say that, and I don't personally know you, so I'm not going to recommend you. And then I got some guys go, and they're like the duck hunting world with me, and they go there, and you're not feeding them steak and lobster. They're going to give you a bad review. I mean, I mean, if you know anybody reputable, Mr. Kenneth, let them know. But I personally don't. We still got some more stuff we got to cover on that.
Right. I don't off the top of my head. As I mentioned before, I'm from a little small town that you come through it and blink, you're going to miss it. And so, I mean, there ain't a whole lot here. Definitely probably not somebody like it. And the old timers around here, when my dad turned me and my brother loose, there was an older buddy of mine down the road, Mr. John Cruz. I tried to go with him. I probably bugged him on Facebook enough to where he finally probably got tired of it and finally took me hunting one day. But even that took, I don't know, probably 6, 7, 8 years. And, for me being in junior high, I think I finally went hunting with him maybe my junior, senior year of high school. And I guess he finally had to figure us out. And I stayed about 1.5 miles down the road from him. So, I mean, he knew who I was.
Yeah.
It still took me that long to get in with him and hunted. But after we hunted a few times, and now it's, we're dang good buddies. I call him up right now if I needed to. And he's a good guy. But as far as that goes, I think you're going to, play hell with catching somebody like that to just, randomly do it or does it. I don't know if anybody that does it, I guess you'd say for a living or known for doing it.
Yeah. I mean, I had the luxury. I did end up meeting a younger gentleman. He wasn't an old-timer, but, man, does he have knowledge like an old-timer. He pointed me in the right direction of all of this. He doesn't want his name said on any of this, and that's why I say he's pretty much like an old-timer. He don't have social media. He don't want his name said. He got me. He did. He got me my – the dogs weren't going, but he said, here, I'm going to give you some reputable stuff. Try this, because I've already seen how much money you're spending in stupid ways. So with that being said, he wasn't intentionally watching me spend all this money. He just said – he informed people. He said, man, Alan's going to do it whether he's got good dogs or not because of how much he hunts. Guys, you got to have the drive to do it as a person as well. You can't expect your dog to just go out there and hunt if you're not putting in the time as well. And he sat me down a while back and humbled me really bad. He said, man, you think you won all these tournaments and stuff because of them dogs? And I said, well, yeah. He said, no. He said, you really don't have that good of dogs. That was humbling. That kind of sucked to hear. And I'm being honest with everybody here, man. I mean, I have people that see my dogs and they're like, those are freaking phenomenal. And then I got people that like him. He said, dude, your dogs are on a scale like 3 out of 10 of what I've seen. And I mean, I'm an honest person. I'm gonna be honest with everybody. I produce hogs. I do. It's not a question. But his comparison chart versus people that don't even talk about hog hunting is a whole different level. You know what I mean, Mr. Kenneth? There's people out there that are producing way more than him and I combined. So, that kind of goes into, it doesn't really, well, yeah, it does. The Facebook people that you see that are these, they're not reputable. They boast everywhere. Mr. Kenneth and I have had a few conversations about this. Y'all probably have heard me say it enough, but you have these Facebook people out there that everybody drools over, thinking they are God's gift to hog hunting. And, man, I'm going to tell you right now, do your research. Now, when I say that, I mean go out, do your research on that person on social media. We all got it, clearly. You can check up on them. You can see, and I preach this a lot, you can see if they're producing hogs or not. Clearly, I can't post it anymore because of all my... I get thrown in Facebook jail for 24 hours, 7 hours. I don't know who's doing it, but here within the next couple weeks, I'm going to try to post my hogs again and get some more, not content video-wise, but kind of keep you listeners interested, because nobody would honestly want to listen to me, because if you look at me on Facebook, I've only posted, a handful of hogs. But if I were to post them every day, somebody would be like, oh, this guy's reputable. Mr. Kenneth is a reputable hog hunter. Now, when I look at these other people that are, quote-unquote, God's gift to hog hunting, like he said, dogs-wise, are they using their dogs? If you look these people up, majority of the time that you're thinking this is the best hog hunter in the world, they're hunting with another reputable hog hunter like Mr. Kenneth or Mike Colley or somebody out there, and they'll take pictures with these hogs and stuff, but you'll never see their dogs involved. So you have got to do your research into the people you're getting dogs from, into the people you're following for advice. I'm not saying you got to follow me for advice. I'm doing it for all of y'all. Reach out to Mr. Kenneth. Reach out to Mike Colley. I have like 7 other podcasts that I'm waiting to post in future dates. And then Justin Becker. These are reputable hog hunting people. His brother, Dawson. People that are producing hogs, guys. I can't say it enough. Do your research on social media, who you're getting dogs from. Now, would you like to say anything about that? I kind of get a little heated about that because I spent over $8,000, we found. Like, more than that on freaking Facebook dogs. So if you can kind of piggyback off that and help a little bit and enlighten the viewers.
No, I agree with you. There's some that does it just for clout and acknowledgement, to be seen, be heard. And some do it for the wrong image, some do it for the right. There's nothing wrong with posting what being proud of what you're feeding and what you're raising. And there's nothing at all wrong. I do it. I enjoy posting the pictures. I've got family on there. I've got buddies that that enjoy seeing it as much as I enjoy posting it and doing it.
Yeah.
But I mean, you've probably seen it. I seen a little quote going around on Facebook talking about dogs, and it said, what did it say?
The dogs in one man's hand, it performs different, or
well, it was that one, and saying how pretty much how a good dog speaks for itself. You know, the owner. If you hear about a good dog, the owner ain't got to talk about it.
Yeah.
You know, and there's a lot of people with some nice dogs. You know, I'm not saying just me or just my brother or just my buddies or just this guy has good dogs. No one else does. There's a lot of guys around here that has some dogs that they enjoy, that works for them, and you know, that works for them. And I mean, but as far as the, you know, just boasting and bragging and, you know, doing this and doing that, I do agree. You got to watch who you fool with, especially if you're trying to get some dogs out of it. I mean, and that goes for, you know, the dog coach. That goes for the owner too. A good person, you know, speaks for themselves. You know, you don't have to talk about yourself. Somebody else will. I mean, type of person you are, what you feed, you know, how you are with your dogs. I mean, it can get, you know, it can go on and on.
Yeah, and a lot of y'all viewers, maybe, I mean, I know I have not the best fan crowd, I'll be honest, and a lot of people say I set it up for myself, but I really don't recall ever doing that. I don't, because I was very proud of the hogs I caught, but when I started posting them, I started noticing people were, like, talking shit about my hogs, like, there's no way. So then, you know, I got the crane scale, I started weighing my hogs, saying statistics about my hogs, and it was pissing more people off, and I'm like, what the hell am I doing wrong? I'm proud of what I'm catching. I'm proud of my dogs. I want my kids. You know, if you listen to a lot of tapes, period, in the dog community anywhere, not just the hog dog world. I do listen to Coon podcast. I listen to Lions. I listen to Bears. Listen to the old timers. Their biggest regrets, and anybody can talk crap about this, is not taking enough pictures or not recording enough of the stuff they've done. They hate it. They cannot stand it. But then you have those, I don't have much experience hunting with the old timers, so I'm not going to sit here and claim that. But I have talked to a few reputable ones, and the biggest things that they hate is, like I just said, no pictures. They were always having that mindset of, you got to do it because you enjoy it. Don't be posting what you love, what you're doing. Some of them want them statistics from back in the day on what they did, so because they hear guys like me or anybody like around us that are posting, oh, I caught this big hog. And that old timer's like, it's not a competition, but every man is competitive, and period. Whether it's a good competition between each other, you want to be hostile about it. But sometimes there's just a little fun man-to-man competition, and I would like to look at my stuff and look at a younger kid one day and be like, man, laugh at him because my own son, thinks this hog is big, but Daddy caught a hog twice that size when he was his age. You know, that's that shit talking stuff, that those memories you want to have. So don't let somebody scare you away from taking pictures with your hogs, taking pictures with your, because man, there's so many stories I would have forgot if I didn't take pictures with these hogs. So I really want to cover that, if you don't mind as well, how you feel about the social media outlook on stuff like that.
Yeah, but like I just said, I don't see nothing at all wrong with it. I mean, it's out there for a reason. I mean, there's nothing wrong with loading up your dogs, you know, feeding them all week, working all week, waiting for the weekend to come to go hunt, loading up your dogs and going hunting, and, you know, going and make a hunt. Not only catching a hog, you know, or catching hogs, you know, whether you catch 1 or 5, but I mean, especially you catch a really nice hog. There's nothing wrong with being proud of it, you know, especially if you raise, let's just say you've had this dog and you bred it, and you raised this dog and started it and trained and got it going, and that dog's producing, and then you breed that dog and get some puppies off of him, and the same thing, you know, 3 or 4 generations down. That, I mean, in my opinion, that's something.
Yeah.
You know, that's something to talk and brag about. I mean, that takes time, you know, that takes knowing what you're doing. And, I mean, there's nothing, you know, like I said, in my opinion, there's nothing at all wrong with that, being proud of what you've done, what you've created, you know, how it's working out for you. And like I said, if anybody goes and looks at my Facebook, that's probably all you're going to see is hogs and dogs. I mean, my girlfriend, she tells me all the time, you don't ever post me, you post them dogs, though. And I just get carried away with it sometimes. You know, the relationship I have with my dogs, and especially, you know, after you have them so long, and like I said, you know, getting puppies, and then they're all working, and that's something to be proud of. I don't care what nobody says. And, you know, posting it, the intentions you have with posting it means a lot. And I mean, as long as you, in my opinion, have good intentions, like you said a while ago, staying humble, knowing, I believe good Lord will take your stuff away from you. You go to getting cocky and taking it, stuff for granted and just, taking it for what it's not, I do believe he'll swipe it away from me. So I try to stay humble with my dogs. I don't claim to have the best. I don't claim to be better than nobody at all. If that's going around, that's a lie. But which I also won't take no bull crap or crap talking about me or my dogs. But I don't think nobody will, But I don't see nothing at all with posting and being proud of what you have and what you feeding and working with. Like I said, that's what the platforms are out there for, to show off what you have.
Yeah. No, man, I love that you covered all that. Now, we've covered quite a stuff a little bit, but I want to try to focus a little bit more on, the new coming world. So the newcomers, even the seasoned guys, if you're starting out a dog, Mr. Kenneth, straight from scratch, okay, you ain't got no dogs to run it behind, nothing. Where would you tell them to start at?
This is just from my experience, it's all my personal opinion, which may not mean much, but it works for me. And some can't do it because of their situation or whether it's set up or, the land they have. If I was getting one from scratch, I'm going to turn that puppy loose in the yard and kind of almost forget about it, to be honest. And you may say, well, that ain't taking care of a dog. And I don't mean for just completely forgetting about the dog. As far as the hunting world goes, I'm going to forget about that part. I'm going to let this puppy grow up, be a puppy. It's going to be well taken care of, vaccinations, learned, etc., fed good. I'm going to let him be a puppy, grow up, play. And when I feel like it's his time, all dogs are different. This one dog may be ready to go at 6 months old. He may be athletic enough to keep up or go or hunt at 6 months old. And this other dog, his full brother may not be ready to go until 10, 11 months old. So when I feel like they're ready to go, and with that being said, the main thing I'd be concerned about is being able to get away from a hog, a mature, good male hog, poor hog.
Yeah.
But that's how I start out with mine. I believe they get out of the puppy stage pretty quick. They start getting bored around the house, seeing the same scenery, seeing the same stuff, playing with the same crap. A dog has a brain like, just the same way as a human. They get bored, so seeing the same crap, they start wandering off. Well, that wandering off starts, turning into, he may hit the woods behind your house or across your driveway, or, he may end up at your neighbor's house. Well, there's a reason he's doing that, because he's tired of seeing the same. He's wanting to see something new, and it may be just wandering off, or it may be he's got the mindset of hunting. But if I didn't have nothing else to start him with, I think is what you said. I'd try to find some spots on the lease or whatever. Whether you're feeding or just spots on the lease that holds hogs typically. So I probably wouldn't go take them straight to the hogs. What I like to do is, let's just say I know hogs are standing over here to my right, half a mile or 600 yards or 800 yards. I may stop at 600 yards, or let's say I've got a camera out and know there was hogs there 2 hours ago. I may stop, half a mile back and turn this dog loose. And whether I sit there for 30 minutes or 10 minutes or 2 hours, I'm going to see if he will eventually wander over here to where these hogs are the same way he wanders off from my house, Obviously, with knowing that he will pay a hog, showing him a pig around the house, knowing that he bark at a hog, a time or two. But that wandering off is the same thing whether he's in your driveway or whether you carry him to the woods. He's already comfortable enough to wander off. He's not too uncomfortable. Sorry, to get away from you. Go 20 feet from you and then comes back to you. Like I said, he may start wandering off, and it may end up where the hogs are from where you drop them, or you may have to scoot up a little bit closer. And a dog is habitual. You do everything, make habits out of it, do the same thing, and he wanders off and gets on them hogs and ends up paying the hog. He gets the prize at the end. Well, you do it again. And then next thing you know, this dog knows that, hey, when I get dropped, if I go off here and hunt, or if I wander off, I eventually end up on hogs. I'll eventually find a hog. And some dogs have just got it in them to go, you turn them loose, they leave and go hunt. But some there's a man-made dog, and there's a dog that's born, that come this earth, come to the earth being them, I guess what you'd call a hog dog.
Yeah. But
that's just the way I start mine, and what I think works for me, what works best for me, and that's just how I like to do it.
Yeah, no, that's very respectable, man. You answered it great. You really did. Like, you covered every single spot on that. So, for y'all newcomers and even seasoned guys, I'm sure there's legends out there that can't be taught anything new. We're not talking to y'all. I don't even know why you'd be listening, because you're the best at it. But I bring these guys on to, and if y'all would understand, even through 3 of them, they're all repetitive answers. This is why I bring on these reputable hog hunters, guys. The answers are the same. You don't hear one of them saying, I beat the shit out of my dogs, I kick them, I freaking shock them, if they don't get away from me, I'm tearing them up. I mean, I haven't heard that from one of these guys, and I've already interviewed more than the ones y'all have listened to, and that is not something that I've heard. So beating your dogs, kicking them, treating them like shit don't work. Now, with that being said, I do got to ask you, this is the only spot, you covered it great, but you and I have talked about it before a little bit. I'm big on bond with my dog. I believe a bond plays a huge part. I love my dogs. I've got frustrated and whooped my dog's ass. Don't get me wrong with that. In the boat or anything, they want to act a fool. Yeah, they might get a little stimulation. But I'm not kicking them in their heads if they don't want to leave my feet. I personally have never seen anybody successful that does that to their dogs. And if you're that person, I promise you're not going to reach out to anybody and tell them that's what you're doing, because it's just wrong. I believe a bond plays a huge part. Now, Mr. Kenneth, I think you agree with me on that. And if you do, can you please touch on that a little bit?
I do 100%. Doing all, being hard on your dogs, harsh, whooping them, kicking them, beating them, that don't do nothing but lead to, in my opinion, a skittish dog. A dog that can't take no correction, or he can't take, a little slight whooping. I believe in correcting a dog if he needs it, whooping him, whether you tap him on the butt or pop him on the side, or, I believe in correcting a dog. I do. They're just like a kid. You don't let them get away with everything they do. But, having a good relationship with your dog goes a long ways. It's just something as simple as, like a little small house dog that your wife or, so-and-so's wife may have. You just look at that dog. If they have a super good relationship, that they can probably get that dog to almost do anything. And it won't even be a hunting dog. It can be a little poodle or rat terrier. And you can, whether it's playing fetch and telling it to do this certain thing or go get after this, or, for instance, my girlfriend has a little brindle. It was actually my squirrel dog, and they've become super attached. And if she leaves out of the vehicle, just something simple as going to the store, this dog is clawing at the windows lining, waiting on her to come back. And a super phenomenal good hunting dog in the squirrel woods. Good tree dog, hard hunting. And if your dog don't trust you, you don't have nothing, in my opinion. If your dog don't trust his owner, if he's not comfortable with his owner, your dog you're more than likely, if you have a dog that will hunt in that kind of situation, that dog's hunting out of fear. He's not hunting because he wants to, not because he wants to please you. I definitely agree with having a bond with the dogs. It can help the dogs before it hurts them, in my opinion, a little bit of a bond.
Yeah, is it you that said it, or was that Justin? I can't remember. It might have been someone else even that said your daddy told you that a dog's kind of like a woman. If you're hollering and beating on it, it's never going to work for you or something. Was that you by chance that said that?
That may have been somebody. I don't remember saying it.
Oh, okay.
I kind of agree with it.
Yeah, and he said it, and I was like, damn, that's a good way to put it, But with that being said, man, everybody's like, oh, okay. Now I got to be nice. We're not saying baby the shit out the dog. Now, my biggest thing when I'm running dogs, and my wife knows, you're not going to sit there and pet on that dog. And if we're around other people, sometimes kids want to play with dogs. We do hunt around a lot of kids a lot. And every kid loves a dog. They want to pet on it. But you can tell when them kids have been around hog dogs. They know better than to be petting them dogs, period. We don't really have that problem with them sitting around at our feet and stuff. But even in the boat, if they're still chained up, they're not getting loved on. I'm going to be honest. If the hunt's completely over and they're chained up in the boat or the buggy, I'm loving on them. I'm feeding them steaks. Shit, what'd they get the other night? Ribs, potatoes, broccoli. I'm giving them all that shit after, 28.2 miles for me. That's a hell of a hunt. You're going to get what I'm eating.
Right.
So I just, with that being said, I don't be babying them too much and saying, hey, when the dog jumps out the freaking boat, start loving on it. You're probably not going to get a dog that's going to want to go out. And if
exactly.
I'm wrong, you can tell me. But
no, I believe there is, having too much of a bond or doing a little too much, babying them too much, whatever. But I agree with you there.
Yeah. So off that, I did write down something real quick because I know we covered it and I wanted to cover it again. Oh, you and I have talked about this as well already. Age frame. Everybody, the freaking hog hunt masters. Dog ain't doing it by 6 months, guys. You better coal it, man. Ain't that right? No, guys. Like I said, talked to plenty of reputable people. Never once has anybody said under a certain age, and I'm going to let Mr. Kenneth say it again, and I'm pretty sure he's in the same age frame. Him and I have already talked about this. I'm sorry. You might have a dog, some random person way out there might have a 6-month-old that's doing it completely on its own, baying hogs, blah, 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 blah. Cool, great. I promise you, I don't know anybody that I've talked to that has had a 6-month-old dog. They have dropped every single time, and it has went out, and no sign on a track or rigged, and been 100% consistent. I've only been doing it for a little over a year and a half or so, but I've talked to a lot of people. I'm not saying this just off my experience. I'm sure there's people out there, but I don't think it was as consistent as they want to believe. Now, Mr. Kenneth, do you mind touching on that?
Yes, sir. I agree. I don't know of any myself that's done, started that early or been that consistent that early, I should say. And I'm, like you said, I'm not saying it's not possible. I'm sure, some Tom, Dick, and Harry's dog has found a hog. He may have stumbled up on a hog at 6 months old and baited, and that's good. That's good. But doing it every time, that's really, really rare. And but no, the way I do mine, as I stated earlier, I'll breed a pair of dogs, get some puppies. I pick out what I keep. And the way I pick my puppies out is, they're not born, oh, this one's pretty and that one's pretty, I'm keeping them too. I may want to keep 2 males out of a litter, and the 2 that catches my eye, or the 3 or the 1, it may end up being a female, or I may want to keep the female, vice versa, I pick off how they act. And, it may be the ugliest one out of the litter, I don't know. But anyhow, one thing I'm big on is, as I just said, a few minutes ago, once they're weaned and running around and I feel like they're healthy enough to get on the ground and stay on the ground, I let mine run loose. There's a lot that comes with that, tearing up trash, carrying it. You get up at, 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning and go to work, and your work boots, it's gone, and your neighbor texts you and says, hey, I got your work boots at my house. I guess your dog drug them up. There's stuff that comes with it. I got to pick up trash just about every day I got home, but I like to let mine run loose. I think I said a few minutes ago why, getting out of the puppy stage, growing. They just get to exercise their muscles. I believe they grow better, they act better, and as I said, the wandering off stage, it comes around, and that's the part that I start watching and looking for. But anyhow, they may be ready to go at 6 months old, they may be ready to go at 7, they may not be ready to go until, they may not be good to go until 11 months old.
Yeah.
I'm not going to carry a big, fat, unhealthy, unathletic puppy to the woods just because he's out of so-and-so dog and his dad's this good or his uncle's this good. and get him screwed up on his first hunt. Set him up for failure on his first hunt. He thinks he can run up to this 250-pound boar hog and sniff it, and then go to booger barking at it, and he gets freaking gets ramsacked and gets his guts cut out or something. Stuff like that. But once I feel like they're athletic enough, as me and you said before, we talked. I got blooded hogs I raise and fool with, so I'm going over there feeding them every evening. So obviously my puppies that's running loose follows me around across my pasture or whatever. Go feed my hogs. So, and I've had them start baying as early as 9 weeks. I've got videos of it. The biggest thing on them was their ears, and they were baying.
Yeah.
And I've had, some didn't start to 4 or 5 months.
Yeah.
Months old, and they start baying, so I already know they'll bay a hog. They kind of got the gist of it. I've had a couple blooded hogs. They're usually on the laid back side. I've had a couple that are kind of bluff at them and jump at them and keep them back, but they know what a hog looks like. They kind of know what a hog may could do. But what my main thing is being able to, if I think they can keep up with a dog, or run in the woods good enough, and bounce around and be able to get away from a hog. Once I think they've met those standards, and at that stage I'll carry them in the woods. And like I said, that may be 6 months old, that may be 11 months old, and I may put them down with one older dog.
Can you really kind of go into a little bit? I'm not trying to cut you off, but while you're on the age range stuff, go into your progression. They should be doing this by this age, this age, this age.
Right. Yeah. I definitely look for progression. I don't want them going backwards. And some, I've heard a lot of stories about the late bloomers. I've had one. I think when you've talked about it, I had a dog that off of two of the best dogs we've had. And we bred and raised some puppies. I kept my pick out of the litter. And I wanted this dog to be a hog. I wanted him to be a hog dog. I was dead set on it. And I wish I'd left him alone, because he kept trying to tree squirrels, run up through the woods with his head up, looking in trees. I'm talking 6-7 month old puppy. He didn't even know why he was doing it, but he was doing it. And it was actually out of them dogs I spoke about when we first started the podcast, the tree dog my brother had.
Yeah.
And so anyhow, I wish I'd left him alone, but make a long story short, man, he got 9, 10, 11, 12 months old, and this dog hadn't even barked at a hog. And I do believe I had a lot more patience back then, which I still got a lot. I kind of grit my teeth a lot of times doing it, and have to bite my tongue. But I know how it comes and the consequences of being patient. So, man, I think this dog got up to around a year, maybe a year and 3 months, 4 months before he even barked at a hog. And one day we ended up getting him on a hog, and I know this sounds like one of them written up stories that some old timer may tell, but we got on the hog and he ended up falling off in there baying with his dad, and we was walking back to the buggies, and I noticed that my brother's milk dog was gone, and we heard a dog off to our right, 400 or 500 yards, kind of go to yipping. I said, "What dog was that?" And make a long story short, it was that puppy. He left out and went and bayed a spotted boar hog. It wasn't no huge hog, 80, 100-pound spotted boar hog, but he done it completely on his own. And ended up making a really nice dog. I got talked out of that dog, and I got offered $3,000 for that dog, and that's not the price I put on. That's just what the guy offered me. And I said, "Man, he's not a $3,000 dog." I ended up selling him. He said he was in buying for a dog, and me and that guy was good buddies. So I sold him for $2,500, and that dog didn't bark at a hog until he was, like I said, probably a year old. But if I feel like I've given them enough chances and set them up, and even I've got to the point where I make it easier and easier for them, a year and 8 months old, 10 months old, maybe around 2 years old, I feel like that's my limit. I'm probably done with you around that. Between a year and a half and 2 years old, I'm probably done fooling with you.
Yeah, and if all the listeners that have already heard the preview, I mean, this is pretty much the same answers you're getting. This is why I focus on these reputable hog hunters, man. This ain't your buddy that's caught 2 hogs this past year, and he's, the number 1 ranked hog dogger in the nation. These are guys that are out doing it often. I'm not talking crap on your buddy. He might have some very a lot of knowledge, and this is why I started doing this, to help people that was in my position. I know I say it enough, guys. I'm sorry. I just want people to be able to hear that. Now, we've been talking about the dogs, the time frame, everything like that. Now, we went over the critics a little bit. For the new guys coming into hog hunting, and we've all seen it a lot with the posts on Facebooks, and I'm not necessarily guilty of it because I didn't post them to brag about their cut. I'm not saying cuts. I'm not telling you how to talk about the subject. But the new guys coming up into hog hunting and social media being involved, what kind of advice would you like to give them? For example, real quick, I've messed up and I didn't post cuts to brag about the cuts. I posted what happened and I asked for advice on how to fix it. And each time someone told me to take him to the vet, the dog didn't end up making it. So, my what I'm asking you regarding social media first, we'll get into the cuts and stuff, but the social media side first, what are you recommending to the new generations on that are coming up from the 14-year-olds up to 21?
Yeah. Well, typically there's they may know an old timer or their uncle may know this guy or their dad may know this guy. If you get one pretty messed up, make some phone calls, step out of your comfort zone and try to find somebody. I definitely wouldn't post it. And even for example, what you just stated, just try look even something like for looking for help. There's enough people out here already against running dogs. I mean, you got to think there's people that thinks you having your dog outside in the kennel is terrible, the most terrible thing in the world. I mean, it's 90 degrees, it's hot. Your dog's out; he should be inside under the air conditioner. 112 pounds overweight. That's what he's supposed to be. I mean, that's the way they look at it. And in reality, the obese dog that's overweight, they're doing way more harm to that dog than we are.
Yes.
But as far as the social media, man, there's enough tree huggers out there. I mean, you're going to get way more criticism than help.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be somebody that thinks you're this, and there may even be a person that takes it far enough of calling people on you about your dogs. I was going down the road with a dog on top of my dog box years ago. I was probably still in high school, and next thing I know, I'm getting pulled over by the cops. And I got pulled over. He told me that a woman called me in saying I had a dog, right on top of the box. I had him in a dangerous situation. He was about to jump off and hang himself. And this dog rides on top of that box better than most people's kids ride a bicycle, So, I mean, it's just there's those kind of people out there, no matter what you do, whether it's just any kind of hunting, especially hog hunting. You post a cut up dog, it's I think it's going to do more harm than good. And like I said, if it's out of your, if it's past your knowledge, as far as just maybe throwing a couple staples in it, cleaning it up, keeping them on antibiotics from getting infected, and keeping the wound clean. Spend a little money, take them to the vet. I mean, I know that you're playing with the odds, but I mean, it's most of them. There's some good ones out there, and there's some bad ones. There's some that's just money hungry, and there's some that's honestly, they have good intentions. They're looking to help you. I'm blessed to have two good vets. One of them even took a dog while they were closed and worked on it for me. Took it up there and actually kept it overnight. And but I think having a good, whether it be, like I said, somebody your dad knows, your dad himself, your uncle, or some random old timer, 9 times out of 10, if you're around a bunch of hunting type people that knows this or that, there's probably going to be somebody that knows a little bit of something, or that knows another person that knows. Step out, make some phone calls, reach out, try to get a hold of somebody. Ask for some help. Don't be afraid to ask for no help.
Yeah, I mean, nobody's going to judge you if you reach out and say, hey, man, my dog got cut down. Can you help me? I've got a lot of help from some people doing that. It happens. It really does. And these, like I said, these huge Facebook famous people, best hog hunters in the world, that 95% of you listening to this follow, weren't nowhere to be seen when something like that happened. I tried reaching out to all of them, and I couldn't find one of them. And it was that guy that I really didn't think was a real good hog hunter because he was quiet in the corner. And I found out that he's like producing 3 or 4 hogs every time he goes and hunts. Yeah, that's the kind of guy you want to reach out to. So
Right.
I'm not degrading on. That's what I'm saying on that research stuff. Still continue to do it. Now, while we're kind of on this, and this is my question to you, I'm going to start asking everybody this because, after the miles that these dogs put on this weekend, and this might be like a scripted thing in every single podcast I do because I want to know, after a big miles and miles and miles of hunting and swimming and just putting in the work, what are you doing to recover your dog? This is me, honestly, just one-on-one. I don't care if it's even on the podcast. What are you doing to recover them? Is there a supplement out there? If somebody else knows as well, please chime in and send me a message. But I'm needing something to like, man, they I want to make sure they're good and ready to just go again the next day. But I'm running them a lot to keep them in shape. But what are you doing to get them, I guess, after a hunt to replenish them?
Well, actually, especially, this time of year, and it's hot, it's dry, if your dog ain't drinking enough water, it's going to be really hard on them. I've got my dogs on a electrolyte program with their water.
Okay.
I give it to them 3 or 4 times a day, probably if I know for sure I'm going to hunt and I know for sure I'm probably going to push my dogs or hunt them up 1 or 2 o'clock in the day, I'll give it to them 2 or 3 days before I hunt them. I actually had one years back get a little hot, got a little wobbly in the ass end, and he almost overheated. And coming to find out, he was super dehydrated. I mean, he had super clean water, fresh water. He just, I guess the dog didn't feel like he was thirsty and had to drink water. And, some dogs are just like that, but I've got mine on giving them electrolytes. It helps out more than you think.
I'm not trying to cut you off real quick on the electrolyte supplement. Now, I do the same thing, but I don't know how to say this because I don't want to. Is there Tractor Supply involved in getting that electrolyte supplement? Is what I got to ask.
You can get it from Tractor Supply.
I don't want to say what we're getting because I don't want to get anybody in trouble or anything. But are you kind of getting what I'm saying?
Yeah. I've had some. I've had some from there. I ordered some. You can actually. You can do it yourself. You put some salt on your dog food. That's all it is.
Yeah, because that retains water.
Exactly, and that'll make them feel thirstier than normal. Make them drink, and it works because the water. The way the water lasted in my buckets, before I started doing it versus now, it was a pretty, noticeable difference.
What are you doing exactly, the salt wise?
Well, like on it, for instance, like on my Jeep, that's got puppies. I got a litter of puppies on the ground right now, or not on the ground, but just figure of speech. But I'm giving her a little bit of meat. I boiled some chicken, just, and she's easy to keep dog. She's had a litter of puppies, and you kind of can't even tell she had puppies. But I'm just one of them ones. I'm probably going to do too much before I don't do enough for my dogs.
Yeah.
And but I'm boiling some chicken with the bones. And keeping the broth if I need it, pour on the dog food or for the puppy later on. But anyhow, I'm feeding regular dog food and putting the chicken in there, mixing it with the food, and I put a good bit of salt on it.
Like how much are we talking? Like just for listeners. I don't want them going out there pouring a whole freaking cup of iodized salt on it.
No, you got get non-iodine salt.
Okay.
Don't get iodized salt. Don't use that. But man, honestly, as much as they'll freaking take in, the more they take in, I guess, the more they're going to, kind of I don't want to say the better, but the more they're going to drink.
Yeah.
The more they drink, in the long run, helps produce more milk, which ends up with healthier, bigger puppies. But I keep her on a feeder. That way, she's eating 24/7. She's never hungry. She's never out of feed. But I mix up the feed. Yep, I mix up the feed and make a special feed. I guess you could call it with the chicken. They're never going to turn that down. They're going to eat it.
Yeah.
And so I cover the chicken in salt because the dog is not going. Like I said, if he turns down boiled chicken, you know to get your dog checked out because he probably ain't feeling too good. But or you got your dog, you got him on a way better feeding program than me. He may be eating ribeyes or steaks or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But and just general idea, I probably use around about a quarter of a cup. No lie. I mean, like I said, an old guy out of Arizona that fools with Kimmers. He's the one that told me about it, and or I've kind of already knew about it, but he told me how much he was doing because this guy would have 6-week-old puppies, and you would have to hold them with 2 hands. I said, man, what are you doing with your? I mean, what are you doing that I'm not doing? And he told me everything, and he said the main thing is the salt. Having the Gyps drink a bunch of water, having more milk than they know what to do with. I mean, obviously having enough puppies to keep her, sucking to where it won't have her in the bind or hurting. But
damn, that's
it
awesome.
In the long run.
Man, you might have just shared some advice that I don't think it. I'm waiting for them people that who didn't know that. I've never heard. Man, if anybody's done some research on some dogs, I'll argue with anybody all day long. You can ask me a podcast. Have you listened to it? Yes, I have. Now, I think you just, man, that you might have taught a lot of people something new because I think I'm really going to start doing it. With that being said, though, you mentioned water. Guys, another thing with water and buckets, we are strict at our household with my wife and I share the responsibility of our dogs. We do. She loves her dogs just as much as I love them. They're our dogs. Now, if anybody knows us, I don't have any good hog dogs, actually, because my wife owns the ones that are good. So I'm just letting y'all know that. She will let you know these dogs that you see producing hogs are not mine. They're hers. Which is actually true agreement that her and I came upon back in the day. I said, I don't want that dog, you take it. And she damn it, she's choosing the right ones. But the ones that ain't producing clearly are mine. That yellow dog out there, she ain't leaving my feet, damn it. But I love her. But with that being said, the water jug, sorry, I got a little off there. Whether you use 5-gallon buckets or unless you have an automatic watering system, and just to get, if you have an automatic watering system, you're interested in using it, can't get your dog to use it, put peanut butter on it. That's just a little hint. It works. They'll take on pretty quick. Now, automatic feeders, like Mr. Kenneth said, my jib, well, I have some litters coming. I've had litters. I keep my jib on, or my bitch, or if they're, even when they're in heat and growing pups, they're constantly on an automatic feeder. I always make sure they have access to food and water. Now, water-wise, with you guys out there, there's a lot of people, and I'm not bagging on you, man. Check your water buckets more. The most thing I hate seeing, and I'm sure Mr. Kenneth can vouch, when y'all are posting dogs and shit, seeing that green algae and stuff in the bucket, come on now. It don't take much to go out there. I've been guilty, as in like a matter of a day, seeing a little trace of freaking green. I'm like, what the hell? And my wife and I are big on deep cleaning our buckets. So if you want some advice, I'm going to give you a little hint of advice. And I think Mr. Kenneth and I have talked about this before. When it comes to your water buckets, take a splash. I splash it. I don't use a capful or any type of measurement, but I don't pour a freaking huge amount. I just kind of like yank the jug towards the water, and I'll put like a splash of white distilled vinegar. I don't want to be lying. Is that right, Mr. Kenneth? It's white distilled vinegar?
Yes, I've heard that.
Yeah.
And that and bleach.
Yeah, and I don't do the bleach. I do that, and then a piece of copper. You can use a short piece of copper in it as well, and it will keep your water very, very, very clean. Now, guys, take care of your daggum dogs. I stress out bad enough the way it is because I still got professional labs. So I'm not just this guy you think that doesn't know nothing about dogs. I'm very, very professional in the lab world. Now, I stressed about it. So what I started, because when I first got into it, outsiders looking in, once again, I could not stand the hog community. I was like, dogs on chains, blah, 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 blah. I'm going to tell you right now, I think some dogs on chains perform 1,000,000 times better than a dog in a kennel. I could be wrong about that, but take a step back and look at what you're taking a picture of. If you're going to post a dog or bragging about a dog or something, most people, we know it. Hog hunters know that your dog's going to be skinny or some bones are going to be showing. You don't need to post that and brag about your freaking dog while it's chained up to a 5-foot chain and has no access to water. Don't do that. Make sure, and you need to be taking care of your dog. They shouldn't be in that situation anyways. But I'm not your dad or nothing. I'm just trying to help you out with advice to quit making us look bad, because I'm going to tell you, I've talked to people from other states that look in on hog hunters. The only thing they say is they're crackheads. They don't take care of their dogs. Come on, guys. Let's do better as a community to fix stuff like that. And it starts out with the simple thing of cleaning your damn water bowl. There's nothing hard about it. Wiping your dog's feed bowls out. It's not difficult. So we went clear down to writing a little deal on the buckets to keep track of when you're cleaning the buckets, because I'll tell my wife sometimes I walk out there and there's a bucket that looks a little bit empty, and she's like, "No, I did water them." I'm like, bullshit. And then she'll catch me, but we do it every single day. Our dogs do not go without water or feed. So I want to cover that now. Mr. Kenneth, do you have anything you would like to help the hog community out to make us look better from the outside in on situations pertaining to that?
Man, that what you said goes a long way. Something simple as cleaning your dog pens. I see people on there all the time post pictures of their dog, whether it's a dog for sale or a dog that they're liking, and you'll see in the background a bunch of dried up crap or piles of crap. If they have the audacity to post that on the internet and don't care enough about their dog, and their their living situation, I can only imagine how they feel in real life. When they get in from work, I'll clean it tomorrow, or I'll feed them tomorrow. Clean your pens, man. If you're going to have them locked up, do right by them. You don't have them locked up. I'm not fixing them wallowing around, in crap or mud and go to sleep. So, I'm not about to expect my dog to, water. Water, to me, that's the most important thing. And, one thing I've noticed, some of my dogs have small buckets, 2-gallon, 2.5-gallon buckets. And you may say, that's not enough water. I'm laying my eyes on my dogs every single day. I come in from work, I'm going straight to my dogs. The reason behind that smaller water bucket, not all my dogs have it. Some have the 5-gallon, but some have the smaller ones. That they drink the water quicker, and it's lesser for the water. It's lesser time for the water to get back. And I don't just leave, wait till my dog's bucket's empty. They get fresh water every single day. And I don't mean dumping the water out every single day. I'd be lying if I said that. But when I go back there, if their water bucket is, 3-4 inches from the top of being full, I cram the water hose down to the bottom. I turn it on. I let the water hose run. I make sure it's good, cool water, real cool, fresh water. And I put it to the bottom of the bucket, and I may swirl the water hose around. That's what I mean by they get fresh water every single day. Yeah. Now, if their water bucket's halfway or lower, I'm dumping that water out. I'm spraying the bucket out. I keep them clean. I'm not having no green in my bucket, no algae, no stains. If I've got white buckets, they're white. Yeah. So, I spray them out, spray the edges, rub them down real good. And like you said, the copper trick does work. Whether it's a little piece of copper tubing or I've even heard, a couple pennies. But yeah. I usually do a little dash of bleach, or I have done the vinegar too. Yeah. But, water is important. They've got to have water. They need to have clean, fresh water. Especially this time of year, the dogs running hard. They've got to have, they really need to have the proper amount of fluids in them. It can get bad if they don't.
Yeah. So with that being said, if I remember correctly, I've done all this. I think it's like 1/8 of a gallon for 10 pounds of body weight, guys. You know how I am about my statistics. I always gotta share statistics. And so roughly, if I remember, it was like 70 to 75 pounds or something is a half a gallon a day. So when he says a 2.5 gallon buck, that's plenty, because majority of hog dogs are 30 to 50 pounds maximum. I know you professional hog hunters that run them 70-pound dogs that are the best ever are going to argue with me. I know that. Don't trust me. That's why I said 70 pounds, half a gallon is good. But majority of us that are hunting quite often are in the 30-pound to 50-pound range of dogs, weight size. I know we do have people in Australia listening, so I know they run some bigger dogs down there. But I'm sorry, guys. I'm trying to cover a little bit of that. One thing I did want to touch base with is while we're on the water and treating your dogs is, and I know people are going to love this one. I'm going to start doing it more often, Mr. Kenneth. And if you don't feel comfortable answering it, don't. But your worming procedures, heartworms, any intestinal parasites, and feed. What kind of feed you're feeding?
I feed Showtime dog feed. I'm feeding the blue bag right now.
Okay.
I think it's 27-20, 27 protein, 20 fat, something like that. I could be wrong on the numbers, but normally I bump the protein down in the summertime. Protein, people, they go looking at dog feed and they get the big high name, fancy looking bags. Oh, it's 33% protein. I'm gonna swap to this. Protein, a bunch of protein on a dog that's not working can be bad. It could be really bad on their kidneys. A dog that's their kidneys trying to process a bunch of protein and they're not burning it off or using it, that can be bad. It could try to shut down their kidneys. They can end up with kidney failure, and you could eventually actually end up losing the dog. So normally, I try to bump it down in the summertime. Bump down the protein, which, obviously you bumping down the protein, it bumps down the fat as well. So less fat. I mean, that's I believe a little bit better on the summertime anyways. In the wintertime, I bump it up. I bump it up because you bump up the protein, like I just said, the fat content goes up as well. Wintertime, a dog with a little more fat on it. I'm not saying I have them obese to where they can't run, 200 yards, but have a little more fat on them. I believe it's a little bit easier to stay, cooler, warmer, obviously with straw and, not having them sitting out in freezing temperatures, with no kind of heat source or doghouse. But that's feed I've had the best luck with. It's Showtime. It does my dogs good. They work good on it. I don't have them, if they're rounded off, slick, good looking. I make one hunt, they're not drawed up off of one hunt. They last. On my worming, I'm actually, and my buddy from Arkansas, Jay Brooks, actually put me on this worm. It's called, and I'm probably going to be saying it wrong. It's Valbazine.
Yep.
Valbazine. I'm using that right now, and what I like to do on the intestinal parasites, on the like hookworms, roundworms, etc. I'll use a wormer for a month or two, and I may swap it up to like a safeguard wormer, or swap it up to maybe Nemex or whatever. I believe, and I could be wrong, but it's just my belief. I believe a dog can kind of go to get immune to the same worm its whole life. I like to swap it up, and I got them on Ivomec, currently on Ivomec right now, but I've actually just found out about a 1-year shot you can give it. It's kind of expensive. It's $100 a shot, but your dog's good for a year.
Yeah.
And I do believe Ivomec can be hard on a dog.
I heard it's really bad for the joints.
It can burn a dog up. It can be bad for all kinds of stuff. And you got to watch it, but it does work on heartworms.
Yeah.
Not going to say you have a dog
from it.
Yeah, I've heard of situations of curing them, and there's little steps you can take, giving them some, and then next day giving them another dose. It's like a 2 or 3 day process or something, but you got to be really careful with it. That's just what I was told. But But I mean, I've had my dogs on it, and if I had to ever take them to the vet, and I usually at least take most of my dogs once a year just for checkups or whether something's wrong with it, and they'll ask me, you want a heartworm test? I just go ahead and spend the money, get everything done, especially if the dog's worth it, But I think I'm about to swap over. I can't remember the name of the shot they told me, but it's a 1-year shot. You give it to them one time a year. It's $100, and like I said, they're good for the whole year.
Okay.
But that's kind of how I do my little program, I guess you call it.
Yeah, and there's I'm gonna try to get advice from everybody regarding that, and maybe it'll help some new guys. Man, worms are important. If you notice your dog being sluggish, good chance that dog's got some worms. If you know it looking bloated, good chance that dog's got worms. You check its mouth. We luckily have access to a vet that is phenomenal with us, so we do all of our stuff. We do our stuff respectably through a vet because she takes care of us. And I'm with the Copovs and the imported dogs that we got, and I don't want to risk it. So I'm asking from an outside look, or not an outside looking in, sorry, from everybody's perspective, what's the best help for these newcomers coming in? What's a cheaper route they can go? Another place everybody can listen is on the Houndsman XP podcast. They cover, there's a part 1 and part 2 on caring for hounds on a budget. I've listened to that. I promise you 25 times my wife hated me on a trip back from Kansas because it was like hours long, and I told her write down every single thing they say so we could keep track of them. And those are some of the things like Mr. Kenneth just covered. You're going to hear those names. And I can tell you every single what Fenton Mendenhall, Press Quantel, Pyrantel Promote, Ivermectin, I could tell you them all off the top of my head. I could cover every single one of them to a T. I can tell you the measurements. I can tell you all of that to a T. I'm not going to. I'm going to leave this podcast for these reputable hog hunters that I'm bringing in to explain their way of things. So you're not just hearing it from somebody who's only been in it for a year and a half, and I don't expect anybody to respect me. I want these guys coming in and helping y'all out with information like that. Now, majority of the time, I don't even know why I'd ask you this question because you're like me and you hunt all year round. Before I even ask it, is there really an off season for you? Or do you
not really.
hunt hogs all year round?
I'm actually really blessed to have some spots. I've got access to whether it's private land or some land granted to me from an older guy, a buddy, a family member. I've actually got spots. I don't know, probably 4 or 5 spots I can hunt all throughout deer season, even in the daytime if I wanted to. Which I normally don't push it that far, but I do go some in the months of deer season. I may go, about the time I think everybody's getting out of their stand, middle of the day or whatever. I may go.
Yeah.
I may go at dark, but I'm usually hunting every month of the year. I've hunted probably, a couple times, especially in the wintertime.
Yeah. So, well, that's respectable because I usually ask, what do you do on the off season? I can't even answer that. And everybody I've talked to, there's not an off season. We all know we can run hog dogs all year round. Guys, I'm sorry, I ain't gonna. When you get into it, man, some of y'all might have an off season. A majority of hog hunters' off season is deer season, or some. Am I correct about that, Mr. Kenneth?
Yes, sir. Yeah, a lot of these, especially around here, and big time deer hunters, they go to shutting you down pretty quick, and I do lose some of my spots during deer season. I'm not saying I have all that access to all of my spots. I don't. Yeah. But I lose a couple good ones, and I keep a couple good ones, and like I said, I'm blessed to be in that situation with those.
Yeah, and I'm the same way, man. I word of mouth goes a long ways with a lot of these landowners, man, and I'm blessed. This whole hog hunting journey got me into, not in a bad way, but I started attending church and stuff like that. Hog hunting has changed me in a lot of good ways. So I'm blessed by that good Lord to be able to have the property I do to be able to hunt. And church-wise, y'all ever want to attend church? And we go over to Texas to Lakeview Baptist Church. So anybody want to attend church and feel welcomed, we come on every Sunday, 11 in the morning. And usually I try to run dogs after church. But with that being said, we're coming towards the end, guys. I'm going to ask Mr. Kenneth a few more things. Before I ask him, Mr. Kenneth, is there something out there you'd like to tell all the viewers? You got your brother's thing going on, hardcore. Is there people you want to give shout-outs to? Man, we're getting there, Mr. Kenneth. I know people want to laugh and be like, there's no way. Yeah, we're 4 countries right now, and we've not had that much, posted. So if there's something you want to say to get out there to the viewers, please, please, please share it.
Man, yeah, definitely a big shout out to everybody watching and keeping up with you. I believe this thing can get big for you. I'm supporting what you do for sure. I think we needed another, something like this going on with the hog hunting sport. I'm definitely going to keep up with it, not even just because you asked me to be on. It's just something I love hearing stories about dogs hunting, even if it, like what you're doing, if it's learning, there's always something out there you don't know. And, somebody, there's a fella or a bunch of fellas running around here, probably going to be old timers. That's probably forgot. You know how the saying goes, it's forgot more than you'll ever know. There's always something to learn, but, shout out to, I'd definitely give one to Michael Spiller with Hardcore Hog Dogs. We've became real tight. He's helped me out a lot with the hog hunting, tracking, on the tracking side, the cut gear side. I guess I'm definitely going to say a big shout out to everybody watching and keeping up with you for sure. That's where it all starts, is with the viewers and support, and having a fan base that supports everything you do. It goes a long ways.
Yeah, most definitely, man, and I appreciate it. I do. I'm hoping I can get your brother on here, y'all. And another thing is, I'm gonna be bringing Mr. Kenneth back. All these people you're hearing are coming back for another one. They're all liking it, and these are. I'm not trying to talk myself up. This really has nothing to do with me. I'm trying to keep these conversations going because a lot of these guys are reaching out to me saying, "Man, keep going. We're loving where this is going," and I like it. Like I said, please don't take offense if I'm not reaching out to you. You might be a badass hog hunter. You might have some of the best dogs around. I'm sorry, I ain't reached that far. I'm doing research on multiple people a day. I feel like I'm a stalker sometimes because I'm like, hey, I want to make sure if I'm bringing this person on, they got reputation to be on here. I don't think everybody's agreed to it either. I've had 2 old-timers. One said he's going to wait it out till I have so many episodes posted because he has never spoken. And I promise when you find out what line of dogs this gentleman comes from when he comes onto this podcast, y'all are going to be mind blown because he will not publicly speak about his dogs or anything, but y'all will know exactly who he is once he mentions it. Now, all that is based off of y'all watching this. I need more followers. I need more views. I need more interaction. A positive interaction would help a lot, guys. I know there's going to be the negative and people that don't believe that this stuff should be going anywhere, but Mr. Kenneth covered it great. Like, guys, let's keep it going, man. And once again, I don't feel offended if I ain't reached out to you. I might hear in the next couple weeks, but I have kind of a line of where I'm going with this. Now, Mr. Kenneth's going to be on again. I got the past 2 people, they're coming on again. And just wait till you see how these seasons progress, these episodes, into seasons. And I have a game plan behind it. We'll see if it works. It may not. But as long as y'all keep giving me the likes and the follows, I can keep bringing you stories and this information that we're providing. And with all that being said, I'm just letting y'all know you've heard a lot of coughing around. And so I was in the woods all week. I don't know if I got an allergic reaction from something, but I've been hurt. My wife's been she hunts with me, as y'all know. She's 7 months pregnant right now, and she's out in them damn woods. She was out there, 900 and some yards to Newt the other night? Something like that. Yeah, so there's no excuses for y'all not to be out there in the middle of this summer if a 7-month-old pregnant woman can be out there.
That's right.
But, no, for real. I appreciate all of y'all. I mean, I do, especially y'all that are actually following and giving me reviews on this podcast. It's not all about me. I'm doing this for y'all. I don't want to say I had to grow the balls to do it, but I had to come up with the courage because I figured I was just going to be shot down straight from the beginning. And when my wife and I did it, I felt a little, and I was like, man, this is stupid. Why am I doing this? But I knew the people I had lined up to be on this podcast. And you'll see in the future why they're lined up in the way they are. So I'm sorry I went off a little bit on that. I just want people to understand and know what our game plan is in the future. Now, we got a few more questions we're going to ask Mr. Kenneth, just 3 more to be exact. I know what they are. He knows what they are. It wasn't scripted or nothing, to be honest with y'all that are listening to it at the end. Mr. Kenneth and I already did this one night. 100% my fault. I lost the whole podcast. So huge shout out to him, man. This is how much this guy cares about this sport. He said, hey, I know, because I set it up to be dropped Tuesday morning. Time was scheduled and everything. I looked, it said 7 seconds on the podcast. This ain't right. So long story short, I reached out to Mr. Kenneth. I said, man, I lost it. He didn't even hesitate. He said, let me get done taking care of these dogs, man. I'll help you out. So, man, y'all give him a follow. Don't be messaging him, hey, man, can I have a dog from you? Guys, that is the most annoying shit in the world. He's not going to give you a dog. Just, reach out to him. Let him know you heard him. Say thank you. Give him a follow. Give him a like. Comment something. Show us that y'all are wanting to hear more of this. It means a lot. Now, Mr. Kenneth, with that being said, before I get into these other questions, do you want to top off anything?
No, sir. I believe you hit it on the head. I appreciate that, though.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now, his name on Facebook, by the way, is Kenneth Smith. Just to let y'all know. Do you have any other platforms, by the way, they can see you on?
I have Instagram. I don't really get on it anymore. Facebook's probably going to be probably the best option for him.
And he's freaking huge. All you got to do is look for the big guy. Trust me. I'm only like 5'6", but gosh damn, I got to look up talking to him. Which ain't hard to do, y'all know. But with that being said, the hardest lesson you have ever been taught on a hog hunt?
Oh, that's a good one. Because there's been a bunch of them.
Yeah.
I guess. Hardest lesson. Man,
whether it was like, damn, we do lose dogs doing this, or man, I lost my girlfriend because I hunt too much.
No, I got a good one. She allows me to hunt. She never gripes and lets me go whenever I want, so I can't complain with that one. But I'm gonna say, I guess, man, as far as something simple as the hunts, they you may get on one good boar hog and 2 good boar hogs, and then you may get on 3 and bait all 3. And I mean, here I am expecting the 4th, 5th one, the 6th one to go the same way. And these hunts, you could be hunting the same spot. I guess the moral of the story is, no matter how it goes, 3 or 4 times or 1 or 2 times, it's different. You stay learning stuff. A race can go the same way 5 times. Let's say you get on the same hog 3 or 4 times, but he may do the same thing those 3 or 4 times. But that 5th and 6th time, he may do something different. I mean, it's the ball never stops rolling. It's always something to learn out in the woods. Every hunt ain't easy. They don't all go the same. The dog may not perform. That may be the biggest one. Is on the dog side of it. The dog may not perform just because he made 4 good hunts in a row and bait every time you put him on the ground. He may go 2 or 3 hunts and not produce a hog. Not because he wouldn't hunt, or not because he wouldn't go or didn't have the drive to go, but he just couldn't get a hog stop. He run it 3 or 4 hours, 6, 7 miles, and he couldn't get a stop. I guess it all boils down to patience. What we said at the beginning. That's probably going to be mine. Dang, this dog, he freaking done good. He's been doing good for 2 months. And, he's hit a spurt to where he's running hogs more than baiting them now, or he's getting rougher for some reason, or he's not as rough as he was and stopping hogs like he was. You know, it's like I said, on the dog side of the ordeal, it's probably going to be that right there. You know, just all falls back to patience. I mean, you can't expect the same thing to happen every time. I guess what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. No, I agree with that, man. Nothing. Trust me, I know about that patience side. I do, I promise. Okay, so on to our next one. And I think you and I have already, you had mentioned it actually once or twice in this one. Your favorite dog of all time, period. Not the one that's not. It doesn't have to be hunting right now. Just any dog of all time. What is your favorite one? What breed was it, and why?
It's gonna be a cur dog I had. I actually just lost in December. This past December. He's been going on almost a year now. He's full cur dog. His name was Grizz. I think he turned 4 in September and got killed in December by my bulldog. Man, it's the dog I actually talked about in the beginning of the podcast. He's had the best nose that I've owned on a cur dog. He had a lot of hunt to him. He wasn't no fast hunting dog. You know, I could put him on the ground and he might trot off. And he didn't look much, you know, he didn't kick dirt up in your face leaving. And that's what I liked about him. He kind of combed through the woods left and right. He may stay gone an hour and he may only be 800 yards, where some dogs in 3 minutes be a mile. And that's what I don't like.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people like stumping dogs and seeing them go a mile and a half just because it looks good they're going that far. That don't mean nothing to me. I want you to hunt, not go to the woods. Anyhow, and it proved itself why, you know, why I like that theory more than just turning dogs loose and they hauling ass. Is he found hogs, a lot of dogs passed up. Man, he made it look a little too easy as far as some of my other dogs, you know, especially when he got around 3-4 years old. He got to where and this is not bragging, this is not, you know, not a stretch story, not me being sarcastic, it's just the God's honest truth. He got to where he made a hog just about every time I cut him out. I turned him loose. And, I mean, I was just blessed to own that dog. I probably want to own another one like him, especially a total package dog. One of the most amazing things about him was his handle. Man, you know, I think I've told you before, he could run a hog 3 hours. And then let's just say he was way out in the middle of nowhere. It's kind of hard for me to get to him. He run it for 3 hours and had to pay an hour and a half or 2 hours. There's some witnesses around here, you know, some buddies of mine have seen it that I've hunted with that can back it up. You know, he may keep this hog base for 2 hours, and you know, I've got the, you know, I'm blessed enough to have, you know, the privilege to hunt private land of some old timers that don't want the hogs killed. Unlike a lot of places, they don't want them killed. They want them cut. You know, castrated for the people that don't know. They want them worked and turned back loose. They don't want their hogs killed. They just don't have the dogs. They don't hunt no more, but they still, you know, they still set their ways with certain things. But let's just say he made this hog for 2 hours, and I get in there and it's the old sow, or, you know, or a young bar that's already been cut and marked. You know, I may whistle at him one time and tell him to come on or get out. That's kind of the term I use, get out. Man, he never fussed with me, he never argued with me. He turned around, he come to me, and I didn't train him to do that. He come here that way, and that's why, you know, I can't take credit for saying, oh, I trained that dog to listen like that. Man, all I started doing was, you know, I started giving that dog a ride to the woods. That's about all he needed, you know. He was a super nice dog. I've seen some dogs that would find hogs, I guess, as good as him. I've seen dogs that was faster than him. I've seen dogs that might do this better. But I hadn't seen one yet that was a total package dog like him that would stay bayed 3 or 4 hours if he had to. And you call him out, and I could cut a hog in front of him. And you didn't have to tie this dog up to a lead and tie him to a tree to let, you know, untie the hog. It's like he knew, okay, my job's done. It's time to cut this hog. He wouldn't chase a hog when I cut him loose. Matter of fact, I think I've got a video on my phone. I cut a little young boar hog, probably about an 80, 100-pound boar hog, turned it loose, and the hog got up and charged him, and he run from it. He kind of turned and run from it. I mean, he knew his job was done,
Yeah.
But that's gonna be my all-time favorite dog. Probably I'll probably die with it being my all-time favorite dog.
Well, that's a good one. Everybody, I like to hear that. He put in some shit for you, and clearly, you said he hunted real good, so that's a good choice in my opinion. Well, that comes down to our final question. What would you want everybody out there right now, listeners, your family, anybody, to know you for in the hog hunting community?
Oh, I guess I'm going to say, kind of what me and you've talked before, probably the relationship I've got with my dogs, how much I enjoy it, hunting with my buddies, my brother especially. Usually if you see me hunting, you're probably going to see my brother, and vice versa. If I go hunting and he don't go, he probably had something come up and he couldn't go, but man, it's just something I enjoy. I love it, endlessly. It's not something I can't go without. I love making new dogs. That's probably my biggest, the thing I enjoy most is, starting, young dogs, raising puppies, getting them going. I've always got some young dogs kind of coming up that I'm carrying around. I love fooling with young dogs, getting them going. I'm not going to say get bored, but I kind of do in a way with a 3-4-year-old dog is kind of then became what I've expected him to be or molded him to be. I like fooling with young dogs, and it's just I enjoy the game a whole lot. So that's probably what I say I want to be remembered for.
So a huge bond with your dogs and pretty much treating them right like everybody should.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah. I believe in treating them right and doing it right, and like I said, having a good bond with them, and which everybody I say I want to be remembered for that. That's kind of what I'm known for, especially around my family, is me and my dogs.
Yeah. Well, man, that's not something bad to be known for, is what I gotta say.
Yeah.
Of course, all my main biological family is from Kansas, and the ones that follow me on social media and stuff, that's all they know me for. Going out of guys, I'm telling y'all, listeners that have made it, that actually listen to it all the way to the end, guys, I want y'all to know, going up there and why I share a bunch of my stuff is because people like that don't get to see it. There's, believe it or not, we all got followers that don't get to see stuff like this that we see every day and think it's the coolest thing in the world.
Yep.
I got a guy that stopped me. He said, "Wow, man, like I've been running competition coon dogs and this and that and this and that forever." And he said, "I cannot wait until you post another hog hunting video." He said, "I just can't wait." And I'm like, "Gosh, damn, that's all I see on Facebook."
Right.
He's like,
yeah.
"Man, he's like, I purposely hit ding on you anytime you post something. I want to see your dogs working." And I'm like, "Just follow me on Snapchat, man. I'm going to tell you, it's faster that way." It's just something I absolutely love, and I'm passionate about, and grow, kind of a bond. Now, I've always had a huge bond with dogs, period. Now, with all that being said, we're pretty much at the end. Mr. Kenneth, is there anything you'd like to say before we finish this up?
Main thing we talked about, just, man, if you're going to get into it, make sure obviously the most important thing is, like I said, having a place to hunt. Man, take care of your dogs. Make a name for yourself, whether it be, whether it involves posting pictures on social media, being proud of, like we said, being proud of what you got and what you're feeding.
Yeah.
Don't be known for the, as you stated earlier, he's a crackhead or this, yada, yada.
Yeah.
Just that, just don't be the shitty guy that don't take care of his dogs and, keeps them all bony and skinny, but snatch them out of the kennel in a heartbeat to go chase a hog with, man. Make a good name for yourself. Take care of your dogs. Do it the right way. Feed them, water them good. I mean, you can't hunt these dogs or go on a big hunt, chasing, especially if it's hot or, expect them to perform well.
Yeah. No, that's. I appreciate you saying that as the last note, and I'm gonna finish it off with something. You know, y'all. I've been known to Alan. Why do you want your dog in the picture with the hog? Because I'm prouder of my dog than I really am of that hog.
Exactly.
A lot of people can't stand it because I'll make them. You know, if I'm taking a picture with that hog, my damn dog did a lot more work than I did. So if you start seeing yourself being that person that don't really respect what your dog did, maybe this ain't for you. And I see probably quite a bit of the community being that way. And that's why when anybody ever said I was in it for the wrong reason, when I've talked to reputable hog hunters, and no, I've never heard a reputable hog hunter or somebody that's really in it ever tell me, hey, Alan, I believe you're in it for the wrong reasons. They're like, dude, I think you're taking it way too far, and I think you do too much research. You got to calm down and relax a little bit, you know. So, you know, with that being said, Mr. Kenneth, I'm pretty much wrapping it up, man. I look forward to having you on again in the future. We've kind of talked about that. I'm going to try to get your brother on. We'll see what he says. And y'all just let me know, man. Keep in touch.
Yes, sir. We will do it. I
And
appreciate it.
please share it. Y'all be on in the morning, you know. Share it to all your people.
Yes, sir.
All right,
I'm
brother.
trying to get out there.
All righty. We'll talk to y'all later.
Yes, sir. Y'all be careful.
That wraps up today's journey on Tusks and Tales. From the woods to the kennels and every trail in between, these stories bind us together. Thanks for listening, and until next time, may your dogs run true and your fire never fade.